Hold on. Is anybody there? Let me see. Let me see if anybody shows up. It's been a long time. Yep. I'll wait for some people to pop up, say hello. Welcome to the show. If anybody shows up, we'll see what happens. I think aloha is, we'll do that one. Aloha. All right. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's been a while. So I hope everything is well with everyone. I'm just going to wait for people to get in. Good evening, Kevin. How are you? Good to see you. Thanks for coming on. Hope everybody is well. We'll wait a few minutes to see see who comes on. Thanks for joining the show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, I assume you can hear me clearly. Let me know. Can you hear me clearly? Check, check, check. Ruby, 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 Ruby. Yeah. Hey. How are you guys doing? Thanks for showing up. Bonjour. I don't speak French, but I thought it sounded cool. Well, merci beaucoup, Freddy. It sounds good. Thank you. So, yeah, tell us where you're from when you join in, and please hit the thumbs, if you will. The thumbs are always good. Hey, Steph, I got my first job 6 months ago. Still working the job, but looking to venture out into freelancing as a side hustle. Hey, very cool. Well, congratulations on the first job. Very cool. I guess you will like this stream. So I have my notes here about some freelancing. I had some questions put to me about freelancing recently. So I figured I'd get into it. How many people? We got just slowly ticking in, 27 people. If you don't mind, give a thumbs up, if you will, so that people are notified by the algorithms. Yeah. So I'll answer a few questions as we wait for people to join. And then I will jump into the subject at hand. I'm learning only React.js. Is there any good chance to get enough money on Upwork, or should I learn Mern? Well, for the web stack, for freelancing, the broader your range of skills, the better. I would recommend learning the full stack. I assume if you're doing React, you already know your HTML5, your CSS, and your JavaScript. You should do some backend as well. That will just open up opportunities for you, you know? Cheers. Hey, cheers, man. Nice Corvette in the thumb in your avatar. Freelancing Q&A, just what I need. There just aren't any jobs out there for Scratch. Help. Yes. You might have some trouble finding Scratch freelancing jobs. Are jobs that require Windows in web development more than the jobs that require macOS? Is that even important to the majority of companies? It is not important. If you know web development, for you to pivot from macOS to Windows would be a trivial thing. So that's not an issue. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that at all. Not at all. When do you think web development will be in even demand, even higher demand, or do you think it will die? I think web development will continue to increase in demand due to the way the demographics are going, the way technology is going. For example, a lot of mobile apps are web-based now because the web is just fast enough for it. If I had to choose between native mobile development, meaning developing for iOS or Android with Kotlin and Swift respectively, I would still go for web. There's just many more opportunities there, I think. Hey, Steph, hold on. Cheers from Algeria. Hey, wow. Cheers. Welcome to the stream. Code long and profit, everybody. Hey, Steph, I'm doing your web dev course. Well, thanks for picking up. I hope it's useful. I'm interested in freelancing with e-commerce as a niche. What are your thoughts? That's the way to go. When you're a freelancer, you're going to be working largely with small companies. Small companies are going to have websites. They're going to want to get their e-commerce going a lot of times. So 100%, that's a good way to go. Thumbs up on that for sure. For sure. So small group tonight. That's what happened. See, I've been dealing with some mild yet persistent health issues that have been restraining my ability to do work, period. So that's why I've been streaming much. And I used to get like 200-300 people concurrent on the streams. See, if you're not regular, it's not good. Yeah, if you don't mind, please give some thumbs up if you're watching the stream. It's just good for the algorithms, you know? You still live. Yes, I still live. Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while. My apologies, guys. My apologies, guys. Let me jump into the subject. I got a few points I want to cover, and then we'll do a little bit more Q&A, okay? And we'll do some random questions. So I got some notes here. All right. So we'll get into freelancing. So point number one, what are the top languages for freelancing? What's the web stack? So it's HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript, and PHP. Lots of PHP. People don't understand that. Why is there lots of PHP? Because of WordPress, because of Drupal, because of other content management systems that are out there. It's very common that you're going to have PHP work. Again, these are the top four for freelancing is HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript, PHP. You might throw in SQL as well for the database stuff. It's just the nature of the world as it is. So many websites are based on these technologies. Well, all websites. So many small businesses, they're going to have a website, but they're not going to necessarily need to automate their back-end processes. They won't need a native iOS app or something, but they're going to probably need a web app or some e-commerce work to do. So those are the top languages for those reasons. So let me continue. Point number two, how to get started in the freelance game. So first of all, you need the skills, right? You need the skills, and that means coding skills, development skills. Now, you could freelance in iOS, you could freelance in all kinds of different areas, but I think the concentration is the web. But you need that baseline set of skills, number one. Number two, what I would do is I would build up your own website, your own portfolio website. First and foremost, it has to look really good. This is your showcase. When you're dealing with people, whether it's a freelancer or a company owner, the number one thing you have to demonstrate you have the skills. You can come to the table with skills. So you have to be able to demonstrate that credibly, and the website is a big part of that. So after you get your website up, I'm assuming you're just starting, you developed your skills. So you got some skill. You put up your website. Then the next step is to go around and find some local nonprofits, a small little company, and offer to do some web work for them for free. Do 2 to 3 small little projects. It's going to take you 4 or 5 days each. You do it for free and you run them like real projects. Why do you do that? Well, I have people do that in my mentoring program because it develops real world skills. It's kind of like sparring. You got to get in the ring. You can't just hit the pads if you're boxing. You got to actually spar. And doing these projects is like sparring. It's like getting in the ring. Number one. Number two, by getting in the ring and building real projects, you're going to develop some confidence in yourself because you have built something and you're going to learn along the way. So that's why you want to get these 2 to 3 free tongue twister there projects up as quickly as possible. Now, the third reason is then you take these projects and you can use them on your own promotional website so you can show prospective clients, hey, look, I've done work for companies. Now, they don't know if you did it for free or not, but it just shows them that, oh, this person actually does real work for real companies. So that's an important thing. Just a quick reminder, for the algorithms, I hate to do it, but please give a thumbs up if you like live streams like this, so that the Google sends out notifications. All right, so once you've gotten the first 3 steps done, then step number 4 is you want to start talking to people, letting companies know, hey, I'm doing some work here, I'm a freelancer, I can do work for you. That's one thing you can do. Number 5, you can start looking at freelance sites like Upwork and stuff. Now, I hear people say that could be the road to nowhere because you got to compete with people from countries where they don't need to earn much money to have a comfortable life. But that's all about negotiation and managing your clients. I know people in North America, for example, or Europe, who can use sites like Upwork and so on and still make really good money. if they know what they're doing. You got to know what you're doing. So that's those are the 5 steps of getting started as a freelancer. Should I say them again? No. So number 1, you need to have the skills. 2, you build your portfolio website. 3, you got to do 2 to 3 small free projects for companies so you build some skill. Number 4, you want to start talking, mingling with people, doing a little networking, letting people know so you can scrounge up those first few gigs as a freelancer. And number 5, you might want to check out those freelance sites, check, whether it be Upwork or whatnot, and figure out which one might work for you. You may never need to use them, but it's an option to consider, All right. So final step here, final point. So first, I talked about the top languages. Number 2, getting started, what you needed to do to get started. Number 3, what are the keys to being a successful freelancer? What are the keys? So, all right. So we're up to 63 people. Not bad. If you can give me some thumbs up, I would appreciate it. It's good for the algorithms. More thumbs will get me to read number 3. We'll discuss number 3, keys to freelance success. That would be good if you give me some thumbs. So we'll sit back, take a tea. Hold on. I'm taking tea now. I'm actually, I'll get to number 3 very soon. I've cut out beer now from my diet. Not that I'm an alcoholic, but I cut it out because all those carbs in the beer, not good for me. As when you get old like me, 169 years old, you got to watch what you eat. You got to be very careful. And carbs is basically sugar. And sugar is poison for the body. So since I stopped drinking beer, I felt significantly better. And so I'm on tea now. I've been overdosing on coffee. So this time of night I drink tea. So yeah, it is exciting news. Huh? All right, let's jump to number 3. Thanks for the thumbs up, everybody. So the key to freelance success. Number 1, you got to manage your client's expectations at the very start of the project. So that means you have to have good contracts. They don't have to be complicated. They just have to be good. So everybody understands before you do a minute of work, everybody understands what is expected in the relationship between you and the client. Everybody has to understand right away. This way, it really helps to avoid problems down the road, because if you don't have a decent contract that makes things clear and simple, and then you may have an expectation about something and your client may have a different expectation, and that's where the conflict can arise. So by having clear documentation, a nice simple contract at the very top of the game before you start doing any work, it will avoid a lot of problems. It helps to manage the client's expectations in the sense that they'll understand what it is you are going to deliver and how it will be delivered. Very important. Very important. That is probably the most important thing you can do, because by having these expectations managed at the top of the game, at the top of the project, this will go a long way into whether or not the client will be happy with the work, which is important because you want to have that repeat work. You want your clients to tell their other friends or have businesses about you. Word of mouth is a powerful, powerful thing in the freelance business game. So yeah, at the very top of the contract, make sure you've managed, you have everything clearly spelled out, so everybody understands what to expect in the relationship between you and the client. All right, number 2. Again, the key to being a successful freelancer is to have a stable clients, meaning have a set of clients that you're rotating. So 5 to 10 is probably a sweet number to have. A little closer to 10 would be better. Why do you want to have a stable of clients in your roster? Well, what you'll see when you're working with your clients, they won't be necessarily available, giving you contracts all the time, first of all. Second of all, in the process of working on a contract for a particular client, you will probably see delays during the execution of a job. So for example, a very simple example, maybe you're developing an e-commerce site and you need a bunch of images for their products that they want to put online, but you may have to wait sometimes weeks before they get around to sending you all these images, as an example. So in that downtime where you're waiting for them to deliver images, you should have other client projects that you are working on. So typically, right, you may have 2 to 3 client projects that you are working on concurrently at the same time, so that you get a flow of cash, flow of cash. Now, how you manage these 3 projects or 2, 3, or 4 projects at the same time, that comes down to management skills, of course. And again, it goes back to point number 1, managing client expectations. Yes, but it's important to have a group of clients. So takes time to build up, but this will allow for a nice stable cash flow to come into your business. All right. Okay, we'll get to point number 3. How we doing? Let me take a sip of tea here. All right, we're up to 71, not bad. Again, thanks for joining the stream. I know it's been a while. I've been having some persistent, although minor, but persistent health issues that's been making it difficult for me to do anything. So yeah, I appreciate the thumbs up. Code Long and Profit, welcome to the stream. So I'll be getting to the questions soon. All right. So the third thing about having a successful freelance business, but this goes to life in general. You got to learn to manage your money. This is such an important thing. This is one of the things that is shocking to me about people around the world. A lot of people don't have decent personal finance skills. If they did, the vast majority of people who are under pressure financially would feel much better today. And it doesn't take you having to make a huge amount of money to not feel financial pressures. You just gotta have basic financial skills. This becomes especially important when you're freelancing, right? Because freelancing is inconsistent, especially in the early days in terms of the flow of work. So you need to have good money management skills so you can buffer your flow of cash. So first of all, I talk about this. You can check out videos on my channel. You need to have FU money. This is 6 months to a year. I change my ideas depending on the situation. 6 months to a year. Ideally, I say year to a year and a half, maybe 2 years of cash to cover all your expenses. So why is it called FU money? When you have 1 year worth of cash where it pays for everything, all your food, all your bills, everything, you have that sitting in a high interest savings account, it makes you sleep well at night. And by sleeping well at night, when you go into negotiate contracts, you'll be able to negotiate contracts from a position of strength because you won't need the contract. Why won't you need the contract? Because you got a year's worth of cash to back you up. So you start off by getting 3 months and 6, a year. If you're freelancing, I say year minimum, max 2 years worth. I've always been very conservative. I was feeling pretty good at about 2 years personally, where I knew that I didn't have to work for 2 years because I had enough cash saved up. This is not retirement investment. This is not, this is purely for emergencies, to cover expenses if you don't have cash coming in. You see, when you negotiate a contract from a position of strength, meaning you don't need the business, people kind of feel this. Your basic lizard brain, which I teach about in my Lizard Wizard course, your basic primal lizard brain, everybody's lizard brain will pick up on that confidence. They'll pick up on the fact that, hey, this person here, they don't need my business. So then their lizard brain goes, this person must be good. So they're much more likely to want to give you the business. I know it sounds weird, but it's just the way it is. If you don't know who I am, you don't know about me. One of the things I did, I was a major, psychology was my major in university. So I know a little bit about psychology. I'm not a psychologist, but I know a bit about it. And it's been a very important thing for me. It's helped me to understand human dynamics. So yeah, that's a big thing. That's a big thing. So you want to have FU money saved up So, and have good financial money management skills as a freelancer. Because if a freelancer, you have the benefits of all the benefits of being a freelancer, where you can make much more money as a freelancer once you establish yourself than you can as an employee. That's for sure. But you have to build that up, and at the same time, you don't have benefits and so forth. So that means you have to be more of an adult vis-a-vis your money. That means you have to be you have to track your money. You have to know how to use it properly. You have to know how to invest it, et cetera, et cetera. It's not that hard, really, but you just got to do it. Trust me, it's the best way to go. All right, how we doing here? All right, good, 72. Appreciate any thumbs up, anybody. I would, before I get into the Q&A, that's pretty much it. I will appreciate some thumbs up. So here we go. We'll do some Q&A now. This is, hey, Steph, would you go with a MacBook Air 2 or an Asus? I don't know about the Asus computers. I like the MacBook Air. Like, to me, you know, if I'm not gaming, my favorite laptop of all time is the MacBook Air. I have a MacBook Air M1. I have the M1. Where is it? Somewhere around here. I have the M1. But I haven't looked at the Asus. But I'm sure it's a great computer too. What I was going to say about that. You have to look at the Macs because they do have a higher resale value. So you can recover a decent percentage of your cash if you buy a Mac. But you could use a 5-year-old Windows machine or a 5-year-old Linux machine, probably a 10-year-old Linux machine, 5-year-old Windows machine, or a Mac, and it's perfectly fine for development. I wouldn't be too concerned. So let me scroll back up for some questions here. And yeah, if you don't mind, there's 89 of you. I'd like to, if you introduce yourself to the chat and say, I'm Freddie from, I don't know, Texas. I'm Mohammed from Iran, you know, wherever you happen to be in the world. It's always interesting for everybody, I think, to hear, like, where's Merc Talk? 3:40 a.m. here where I live. So I imagine you're in Eastern Europe. Yeah, maybe Eastern Europe, maybe Africa. That would seem about right. Maybe Asia. I don't know. Let me know. All right. So first of all, I want to show you guys something too as encouragement. So I just looked at a Glassdoor. There's a jobs. There's a job. Full stack developer. Right here. 115K to 157K. That's the range depending on your skills. You go here. So this is the estimate is 135,000. So, you know, this is in Toronto, Canada. So it's our major city. So you can see that full stack developers, they make pretty good money. So that seems about right. That's about right. So you see a similar thing. So this is my boot camp. You want to check it out, UncleSteph.com. Here it is. All right, enough of the self-promotion. Let's get into some Q&A. All right, here we go. Freelance Q&A, just what I need. There just aren't any jobs out there for Scratch. Scratch, if you don't know, is a pseudo programming language that's used in middle schools to teach kids basic coding concepts. That's one of the jokes here. Do you think web development will be in even higher demand? Oh yeah, it's going to be in higher demand. It's just, the web is going to be a higher demand because it's cross-platform, and the web technologies are just getting more and more powerful. So all the limitations of the web technologies are disappearing and are being replaced. Those limitations are disappearing. As a result, the web is becoming more and more prominent. Yeah. In preparation to reach out to clients, I am building a few template websites for small restaurants and barbershops. Any recommendations to what niche groups to go after when starting out? No, that's the way to do it, man. That's the way to do it, man. It's Spirit Life, I guess that is, or Sprint Life. That's the way to do it. I can't recommend any particular groups because it's really geography. Your city may be strong with one or the other, you know, where you happen to be, but that's cool. If you can choose a niche where you have some knowledge, like if you have knowledge of barbershops, that means you would be a better website designer or web developer. If you had worked in the restaurant industry or a coffee shop, you might be a good choice because you'd be better at that because you understand the industry. This is something I talk about all the time. It's called domain knowledge, having knowledge of a particular domain like restaurants, coffee shops, I don't know, auto repair shops. If you have knowledge of the domain, you can better serve them as a coder developer. Okay, we did that. Still alive. Finance question. Do you mention banks and bank account types in your complete entrepreneur course? I believe so. If not, do you mind sharing banks to avoid and banks that you would recommend? Oh, okay. I don't recommend particular banks because I have a worldwide audience. Of course, I don't know what the best banks are all over the world, but you can read reviews about that. Most big banks, though, have certain levels of protections depending on the country that protect X amount of dollars in your account. So you just have to look into that. You can just Google it, you know, which banks are best wherever you happen to be in the world and check into that. But good question. I'm also interested in freelancing as a side hustle, but it just seems so frightening. Nah, just jump into it. Don't worry about it. If only I was able to do just one job, I would probably become confident to keep going. What's your advice? My advice is to follow the steps I laid out, the 5 steps. And you start with the first, step number, was it number 2, I think it was? Yeah, getting started. Number 3 was you want to do 2 to 3 free projects. Why free? Because it takes a lot of pressure off you, number 1, because it's free, right? But it still gives you that practice. And number 2, it takes the risk away from the client you're doing the free work for, right? Because you're new. So if they had to pay you, they're like, but if it's free, it's not such a big deal for them. So that's why follow those steps I just laid out. Yeah, just do it, man. You'll be fine. Hey, Steph, love your show. I've been working on building my own PHP framework to run 9 web apps on top and was wondering to improve routing and database inserts and using APIs written in C++. Was wondering. Do you find that using C++, what kind of database are you using? I would just use a DBMS, right? Established one, MySQL or whatever it is, because they've been optimized for your typical database operations, the CRUD operations. I would have to know what kind of database you're sitting on top of, what your API layer is communicating with. I think that C++, that might be overkill. It might be overkill, but I am of the opinion overall that speed of runtime is not nearly as important these days as opposed to speed of write time, meaning it's more important how quickly you can get something up as opposed to how quickly it runs these days, because servers are so powerful, bandwidth is so big now, and client-side computers are so powerful that the inefficiencies in certain languages, the latency that you might have seen in a Python or a Ruby or a Perl or a JavaScript, well, not JavaScript, PHP perhaps. Well, PHP is super fast too. That latency, you don't really see it in most applications. So yeah, you write something in C++, it may complete an operation in in a 1/1000th of a second. Whereas you do it in a same operation in a JavaScript or something, or a PHP, you may do it instead of 1/1000th of a second, it completes it in half a second. So yeah, the C++ implementation is significantly faster. There's no arguing that. But as far as the user is concerned, there's no difference. So you have to decide whether or not you need to go through that hassle to implement a C++ layer is a worthwhile. E-commerce sounds very profitable, but extremely risky due to all the possible issues involved with payments and stuff. No, not really. I would just, e-commerce implementation has been done so many times. It's pretty easy to do these days. I would be using a third party, especially for a new shop. I would just use a third party processor like a Stripe or PayPal or something. No, but again, you settle all that risk as far as you're concerned with the contract in a negotiation with the client. Well, one of the aspects, one of those things is that you have to make it clear at the very top of the contract that once they sign off, once they approve the last delivery, you're no longer responsible for anything. And that's at the very beginning, you stipulate that. Hey, Steph, I admit you have a lot of swag for a computer geek. Swag? Are you talking about my hat? Is Shopify too much of a niche? Not necessarily. It's like you go in there with a set of skills, and then you see what the market tells you. The market will tell you where you specialize, which direction you want to go. Stefan is a good fella. You have no idea. Also, after learning some HTML, CSS, JS, PHP, what else is required for Shopify? Well, for Shopify, actually, I think they use Ruby. You have to look into that. I don't know if you need it, but I would just go look at Shopify development, look at their APIs. They probably expose everything through JS and PHP, but I believe Shopify is, if I recall, I think it's Ruby background, but I don't need to, I don't know specifically. Books or courses, check below. You can check out my mentoring program, which is my bootcamp, but it's very different. You can check out my standalone courses, interactive courses. All my interactive courses very different from Udemy or something. Very different because it's all interactive in my own platform that schools use today to teach. So it's like having a live tutor almost beside you. It's a very different learning process than anything else out there. 88. So yeah, thanks for joining the stream, everybody. Thumbs up. I appreciate the thumbs up. What's up? What's up, Khalid? Khalid Nurdin. I got $200 to invest in my robotics engineering path. Should I suggest on what to focus on first on my journey? I'm not up to speed what they do specifically with robotics engineering. I would imagine they're doing a lot of stuff with Python there. That's just a guess, but I would guess it's Python and C++. So if you don't know how to program, I would learn Python. That would be my first step. Learning how to code, learning how to write software, even at a basic level, opens up many, many doors. It opens up many perceptions of reality, in fact. It's very important. It's very important. So if you want to get into robotics engineering, first thing I would do is I would get into Python, with the assumption that they use Python in robotics engineering, which I'm like 87% sure of that. But you would have to check into that. I have a Python course, by the way, if you want to check that out, interactive. If you don't like it, you just send me an email, say, I don't like your course, and you get a refund. You're not obligated. I appreciate that. Thank you. It's the degree necessary to get a job. No, it is not necessary. It's becoming less and less and less necessary. The whole culture is changing in that regard, where degrees overall are becoming less and less important. Oh, by the way, okay, I got it here. By the way, I have a Discord, a server, which over 3,500 people. You should check it out. It's free. Its link is below. We got tons of great people on there. It's well moderated. I invite you to join. Check it out. Just join up and announce yourself. And there's all kinds of great people, lots of discussions, got people of all levels, total beginners to experts. Yeah, so it's a well-moderated group, so check it out. All kinds of discussions, AI, UI, UX, jobs, collabs on projects, WordPress, CMSs, etc. It's all below. Check out the link below so you can continue the conversation after the stream is over. Do you recommend focusing on local market, or is remote freelance possible? Both are possible. You have to see what will work for you. Over the years, I see people have success in all kinds of different ways. Some people do super well remote. Some people do super well local. Some people are a blend. Some people use sites like Upwork. Some people just get a lot of business from their websites. It's all over the place. You just got to figure that out for yourself, Appreciate it, Freddie. Yep, I got the shaved head. I used to fight. I used to be a boxer, martial artist. Did a lot of fighting. I'm going back into the game in my 50s. That's it. That's why I'm shaving my head so they can't pull my hair. That's happened to me actually. I was a bouncer in a nightclub within the first week of bouncing. I had very long hair, and I got into a scrap, and somebody jumped from behind me and grabbed me by my hair, pulled me down by the back of my hair, and so after that, the next day I cut my hair. So there you go. Can you make more money doing freelancing than a job? You can if you know how to manage your freelance business. You can, because you can set up really efficient workflows and use very efficient frameworks that supercharges your productivity. So the short answer is yes, but it takes time to build up. In terms of making money as a developer, in the order of difficulty and value, it starts like this. The easiest is to get a job. That's the easiest, number one. But you make great money as a developer working for somebody. That's no argument there. But it's the least potential is there, generally speaking. Although if you go work for some company, you can make hundreds of thousands a year. But that's the easiest, is to get a job. But it's also the least opportunity, if you will. Number two is freelancing. So freelancing is not as easy necessarily as getting a job, but it takes more time to set it up. But the potential to make more money is higher, typically. Now, these are typical examples. You could be a superstar coder working at a FANG making $500,000 a year. But that being said, typical. Then the next level is starting your own software-based business, where you develop a piece of software like I did, Studioweb.com, and I have a bunch of schools and I have colleges who use it. So that's where you can make the most money, where you're licensing out your software, but that takes a lot more work and takes a lot more time. So that's the order of things. Easiest is to start making money with code is with a job, then it's freelance, then it's your own software-based business. There you go. Well, thanks for joining the stream, Andre Luis Tiago Soares. I don't know if I said that right. Welcome to the stream. There we go. My brother has a small business and needs a website. There you go. That's the perfect candidate. I said, hold off until I learned some JS and PHP. Is that a good free project to work on for experience? Perfect. Perfect. Now run it professionally, though. Run it professionally, so that interact with your brother professionally, so that you learn from that experience. That's what I would do. If you have my freelance course, there's templates that give you all these things that teach you how to do it, walk you through the process, but that's a perfect first project. TA, bonjour professeur, bonjour, bonjour. J'espère que tout ça va bien avec toi. Well, thank you, Arthur. I appreciate it. Namaste. So I started yoga again. I started yoga 2 weeks ago because Uncle Steph was getting a little bit too flabby. And as you get older, what you eat, what you consume, and working out has a huge impact. If I don't work out, my body starts collapsing very quickly. When you're a young whippersnapper in your 20s and your 30s, even to a lesser extent in your early 40s, you can take a lot more of sitting around. But sitting around and eating crap food and ingesting crap, it becomes more and more profound, if you will, as you get older. So my suggestion to you guys is that you start developing habits of health earlier on. So as you get older, you invest in that. So I used to train like a madman for almost 3 decades, 25, 30 years of martial arts, full contact. You know, I'm a black belt. I did a lot of boxing, and I did a lot of catch Campbell, all these different styles, a lot of competitions. So that investment in myself physically shows through today. It's like money in the bank. So the earlier you start investing in your health, it's going to really pay off. As I tell people, I'd rather be healthy and poor than rich and sick. Now, if you can be healthy and rich, fantastic. But I'd rather be healthy more than anything else, because I can tell you, it doesn't matter how much money you have in your bank account. If you're in pain, if you're sick, it doesn't matter. Anyway, little tangent there. Bonjour, bonjour. Hey, Romania, very cool, very cool. How to manage legal challenges while freelancing. That's where the contracts are very, very, very important at the start of the contract. You make sure you have a nice, simple, easy to understand contract so that everybody understands the expectations. The best way to avoid legal challenges is to do that, and so that everybody's clear what they are getting initially. Very important. Very important. And if the prospective client does not like contract, does not want to sign things, it's kind of wishy-washy, we'll figure it out as we go. That's a big red flag. That's a big red flag. You don't want to deal with this type of people. Everybody should be upfront and transparent about what this relationship is all about. And trust me, it's worth it. It will really make your life a lot easier. Do you still get algorithm technical reviews? Yes, they're depending on the company. Now, if you're going to submit your resume to companies, you have to research the company. Research the company so that you know what to expect. And if they expect you to know algorithms, some still do, unfortunately, you better bone up on that, you know? How are we doing for time? 42 minutes. Time flies. Time flies. Hold on. Let me take a little whip. Dry throat. How we doing? How we doing? I don't know where the legend of web dev is best way to succeed instead of dev, REST API, and cloud, whereas it's more stable. It's the more stable technologies. I'm not sure what you're saying. I'm just saying for freelance, web dev is the king. There's no question about that. I'm not saying there's no freelance jobs in other specializations in terms of coding, but in terms, generally speaking, as a freelance, it's all about the web. As a freelance, does all of the income mostly come from initial website building, or are there other ways to monetize the product after it's delivered? That depends on what you negotiate. Depends on the nature of the project. You know, in business in general, there are rules, but there are no rules at the same time. It's a very involved subject. I would have to do another stream on that. Good question. That being said, most of the time it's building the project, and you might have some maintenance contracts. Who knows? Most of the time. It depends. I like that, Andre. That's cool. Employee, single-threaded, freelance, multi-threaded. Indeed. I'm only an advanced beginner, though, Steph. I'm barely learning how to manipulate the DOM. Well, don't worry, man. Just keep working at it. The key to learning how to do anything is just do a little bit every day. Just do a little bit every day. I have a 20-minute rule. In my mentoring program, shameless self-promotion, in my mentoring program, I provide two learning strategies. To provide two learning strategies that and the basis of it is doing minimum of 20 minutes a day. Frequency of exposure to code is more important than how much time you put into it. So what does that mean? This is where my psych background comes into play here. So if you spend, I don't know, an hour a day, 4 days a week, that's going to get you much faster and better results than spending 10 hours on Sunday. So even though you're spending less than half the amount of time, that frequency, that daily exposure tells your brain, hey, this is important. I better put resources into learning this stuff. That's how it works. You have to understand your brain, like every other part of your body, is always trying to conserve energy. So it's always trying to determine whether or not a particular something is worthy of its energy. You know, it's always conserving energy. So when it sees something frequently, that tells the brain that this is important. So daily exposure is key. So keep working at it, man. Don't worry. One day you'll wake up and you're going to go, oh, I understand this stuff. Steph, this is one topic I'll never get tired of you talking about. Steph, learning a lot. I'm glad I could help, man. Cheers. Can't outlearn stupidity. No, you know, from my experience, the vast majority of people can learn and be productive in some type of coding. The great thing about coding is that there's all these different types of coding. Some is very visual, some is very mathematical, and some is very structural. So depending on your personal aptitudes, you could probably find a style of coding, a style of development that suits your brain structure, if you will. Very rarely have I met people who are just don't have the intellect for it. Most of the time, when people run into trouble is due to psychology. It's because they get insecure, they get frustrated, or they're lazy. And to no fault of their own, a lot of the time, there's a minefield of courses out there that are not very good, unfortunately. They're not taught by people who know how to teach. So people will buy a course for $10 and they'll go, I don't understand this stuff. Coding's not for me. Where in reality is that the person giving the course is not teaching properly. You know, you may have been able to learn this stuff if properly taught. So don't give up on the first attempt. But that's what also makes coding valuable. I've talked about that in other streams. Anything that is hard or perceived as being hard to do is worth money. That's one of the reasons why coding is still worth money, because it's perceived as being hard. There's this initial barrier. But I'm telling you, once you get over that hump, all of a sudden the whole thing is just, it's like this closed fist of knowledge that you can't get penetrate. Then one day it just goes boop, and you'll understand everything. And you'll be going, wow, why did I find this hard? So it's worthy of your effort, because that barrier to entry stops a lot of people. And that keeps the value of software development high. So don't let something that's hard dissuade you. That should actually attract you to it, because it means it's valuable. Hey, Stefan, I know you focus on the web development realm, but do you have any insight into model-based system engineering? No, I don't have. I would have to look into that. Model-based system engineering is not my thing. So I don't have an answer. It may be, though, model-based system engineering may be rewording or renaming of something I looked at a while back, maybe a decade or two ago. So I would have to look into that. Very odd this popped up. Coincidence. Hi, Steph. Would you go with a Mac? I talked about that. They're all good. MacBook Air, any computer is fine for coding. Coding is not very demanding, for me, by my experience, the MacBook Air is the best laptop I've ever purchased. I got an one Air right now. But I remember Samsung had some killer notebooks as well. So I'm sure if the Asus looks good, then get it. What do companies look for in an entry-level dev? What is the minimum set of skills needed to comfortably start applying for jobs? Well, it depends on the type of development you do, but you should be capable of delivering clean code efficiently. You don't need to know everything, but you should be able. If you're a web dev, you should be able to build a website. You should be able to do a bit of CRUD. You should understand the whole web stack. You should understand the request response model, clients versus servers, that kind of stuff. But it depends on the type of development. There's so many different types of development out there. How do you think the tech stack matters for freelancing now? Hey, Google, cancel. How do you think the tech stack matters for freelancing now? I'm always sticking to Java and want to know if there's any risk. There's no risk, but the thing about Java is that it's typically an enterprise level language, which means very large corporations. So I'm wondering how much freelance work there's going to be in Java, because Java is usually large corporations. Freelancing is typically a small business type of thing. Although with remote work, remote contract work, there's probably Java opportunity. Hey, the Clifford, how are you, man? Cheers. Code long and prosper. Good morning from South Africa. Very good. I am looking to relocate to Canada to pursue my software engineering career. How do migrations law look like in Canada for someone with no CS degree? Thank you. I don't know, because I've never migrated to Canada. I think you could start checking around. They're looking for a lot of migrants now. So I think they're looking to bring in 500,000 people a year. So now is a great opportunity to get here if you can. Just show, if you had a degree, it would be easier, of course. But I think if you can just show skills and interview well, you write well. So that's very good. Show you got skills. Show you bring value, and I think you'd be okay. If you don't know French, you would have to go to the English side of Canada. So that'd be anywhere but Quebec. I'm in Quebec. If you're in Quebec, you got to know your French. So yeah, now's a good time. If you want to come to Canada, they just there's big announcement. They're going to bring in 500,000 people a year, which is a lot for Canada. What jobs can I get if I learn C++? I have no CS degree. Well, I don't know. Look around. Check the job market. Macs are solid or rock solid. I love them. Yeah, me too. They're very cool. All right. What is your take? Hold on. What is your take on Chrome OS and lightweight Linux-based distros? I like lightweight Linux overall. The problem when I have with Chrome, and I've looked at it in a while, is it's kind of an incomplete OS. So it's good for what it is, but I would lean, if I had to choose between a Chrome-based system, or I don't know, which depends what lightweight Linux distribution I don't know which ones are out there now. I haven't used Linux in a long, long time, although back in the day, my friend and I, well, mostly my friend, we recompiled a kernel to recover some old hardware. So I had an old Intel-based system, and the hardware was it was too slow to run Windows. Windows is too slow on it. You click and it was too slow. So we said, all right, let's install Linux on it, and we only loaded it. We compiled the kernel for the hardware for that particular computer, so it didn't have to load all these drivers for all this hardware that we didn't have. And as a result, it was so much quicker. It was like lightning fast. So yeah, I really appreciate Linux if you want to really get into operating systems that way. There's no question about that. What do you think about 3D web development, Uncle Steph? I think there's something there. I think that's something to jump into with these JS frameworks for the 3D front end. I'm not sure how big it's going to be, but I see some opportunity where you might become the go-to house for 3D web development, It's niche-y though. It's something to pursue on the side and see what happens until you get some contract. James from Florida. Hey, Steph, besides straight hundreds, is there a minimum lighthouse score you'd like to see on a personal project? I don't know what the lighthouse score is. What I like to see when I hire people is skill. I say, what have you done? Show me your portfolio. What can you build? And I'll ask them questions about what they've done, what they know, and I'll check out their code. I can look at somebody's code and I'll know in like 20 seconds whether or not they're a competent developer. So for me, I don't know what Lighthouse score is. I guess it's some, I don't know. So, but build real things. That's what I suggest. James from Florida. Hey, cheers. UK, Freddie from the UK. Alex Brook. Yeah. I have a MacBook M1, 16K, 8-core, 14-inch. It rocks. Yeah. The MacBook Pro M1 is fantastic. From Uruguay, very cool. From Spain, nice to be here. Thanks for joining from Frankfurt. I have to tell you, from an old geezer's point of view, old nerd here. I enjoy seeing that people from all over the world are watching. It's a lot of fun for me. I'm Michael from Norway. Very cool. Self-taught developer, got a job after 10 months of listening to Steph and others. Hey, very cool. Congratulations, man. Good job. Andre from Brazil. Very cool. Indrit from Kosovo. Yeah, I used to train in an MMA gym. I did the boxing most of the time. We had all the jiu-jitsu guys there as well. And they kept on telling me, come and roll. I never did jiu-jitsu though. I didn't want to crank my arms. Ended it from Kosovo. Wow. From Turkey. Thanks for bringing the comment up. Yeah, I got to go to Turkey. I get some hair plugs. If you don't know, Turkey is like, they might be the world's leader in hair restoration. Mohammed from Lebanon. Very cool. Very cool. Brian from Tennessee, U.S. Hi, I'm Della from Accra, Africa. Very good. Friend and Dev. Temo Teo from Mozambique. 3 a.m. here. Very cool. Welcome to the streams. Kentucky with shoes. There we go. I like Kentucky Fried Chicken, by the way. It's my favorite food. Jean from the Turks and Caicos Islands. Very cool. When do you think enough JavaScript to start looking for a job? Well, when you're comfortable walking the DOM with JavaScript and creating nodes and manipulating nodes. If you can throw in some back-end JavaScript, you'd be in an even better position. Hi, recently met your channel. Great content. I appreciate that. Ulysses. Thanks for joining. Your opinion on ChatGPT. I've done videos on it. It's something to look into, to learn the basics of it. I don't see it as a threat. I see it as just a power tool, so I wouldn't be too concerned. You can basically host a website for free with S3 website hosting plus CloudFront Lambda backend. There you go. Do you use additional screens when coding? I used to, yeah. Thank you. Also, you have a few websites teaching code. Which one is your website recommends first sign up first? Well, I have my UncleSteph.com mentoring program. You can check that out if you're into my mentoring. Check it. Everything is there to get into it, but it's comparable to the $5,000 and $10,000 boot camps. But I also have standalone courses at the Studioweb store. Links are below, where you can get courses for $40, $50. So it depends whether or not you want that mentoring or not. Yeah, some of the older sites, I've been wanting to pull them down, but I have legacy students on there, so they've been blocking me. So, Steph, I'm watching from California. If you were 17,000 credit card debt and your credit score was not good enough to qualify for balance transfer, what would you do? Well, I'm hoping you're working. If you are working, I would basically just do a budget, first of all, find out where you're spending your money, and cut out all the unnecessary stuff, the eating out and stuff, and go cheap. You actually will find that liberating once you do it. And I would pay down that debt as quickly as humanly possible, and don't use it anymore. I know it will be tight. I've been there for a little while, but if you can, just get rid of that debt. First thing you got to do is not be in debt. When you're out of debt, it's like a huge, huge weight off your shoulders. So good thing is 17,000 is not that much. So it's not, since you can't get a balance transfer, you have to attack that debt hard, but first you create a budget for yourself. So you figure out where you can get your money. Take on an extra job. Just to pay off that debt. Trust me, it's worth it. Another thing you may want to look into is maybe if you can get a line of credit and then use that money from the line of credit to pay down that debt, and keep looking around, see what you can do. But yeah, I would do a budget, see where you're spending your money and close those holes. Aggressively pay down that debt way over the max you can every month. Maybe take a second part-time job, side hustle to pay down that debt. Trust me, it'll be worth it. It'll be a few months of pain, but it'll be worth it. That's my only recommendations. A lot of C++ jobs in national defense. I got an offer for making software for jets. Wow, very cool, man. Necro Insomniac. Good stuff. Congratulations. Are you going to take it? I assume you will. How will AI affect web dev? I don't see it affecting it too much because AI it will just speed up the process. It won't replace it though, so you'll be fine. How are we doing? Wow, it's over an hour. All right, I'm going to be winding this down. Thanks for joining the stream. I'm sorry I can't get to everybody's questions, but I would be here all night. So I'll answer a couple more questions. It's over 9,000. I love this talk. It's over 9,000. Amazing. 9,000. I don't know what you're talking about. How to scale your freelance business after year one. Yeah, I'll have to do another video on that. So, all right, guys, it's been over an hour. I'm losing my voice. Thanks for joining the stream. Code Long and Profit. I invite you to join my Discord channel. Link is below. There it is. So, yeah, so welcome. So, yeah, we've had a few people join today. These are all the new people who've joined so far. So I invite you to join below. Good group, learn a lot. And, yeah, continue the conversation there. We'll talk soon. And yeah, let me know in the comments under this video as well if you have any other questions or other topics you'd like to discuss in the live stream. So I'll leave it on YouTube so you can watch it all. Cheers, everybody. Namaste. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.